I cannot think of a good intro today. Final Fantasy XI is amazing, and here's more Brady Games Guide. Let's talk about it. Guys, so each time we come back to do more Brady Games Guide, which I absolutely love, I'm realizing how few jobs we have left, and it becomes harder and harder to find one that we haven't done. Shockingly, one upon that list is Black Mage, one of my favorite jobs in the game, and the first one I ever played in Vanadil. So let's do that, obviously. I think what's turned me off to Black Mage and has made me hesitant to read is that the first 2.5 pages are just spells. It's just the spell list of, the funny part is this isn't even as complete as it could be. There are far more spells now. But yeah, just sort of goes on like this. Anyways, let's start. Black Mage. Black Mages are powerful sorcerers that use their magical abilities to attack enemies through direct damage spells and enfeebling magic. Although physically weak, their potential for destruction per spell is far greater than any melee fighter's single attack. By themselves, Black Mages are capable of waging a conservative battle against monsters, but they truly shine in a group setting where they can be protected and free to unleash their magical strength. Very true. I love the setup. Then they go into the starting attributes, magic points and intelligence being the most important. So Tara are king. Now, it is funny because Tara obviously are the biggest just powerhouse Black Mages in the game, but they are true glass cannons, and I've seen basically every race do an amazing job, and that extra survivability of the Elvon and Galka can come in handy in certain fights, so I'm not knocking them from any kind of success. Job traits, amazing. Magic attack bonus and clear mind, conserve MP, 3 of the best traits in the game. At least magically inclined traits. They're so cool though. Seriously, magic attack bonus is pure damage. Clear mind and restores more MP when healing. It's actually kind of funny when you first start healing. You're like, this is so slow, and then you get higher and higher, and you need the dark staff and all sorts of clear mind, essentially MP plus while healing gear along with the clear mind trait. Anyways, moving on. Job abilities, Monofont, Elemental Seal. That's all they had to start with, and it was really all they needed. They were so strong. And then the spell list, but let's not skip Black Mages. More than just blowing stuff up. Here's the thematic tie-in that Brady Games tries to give us. There are those of us that deep inside want to call rocks from under the earth and harness the power of storms. As a Black Mage, all the potential of the elements and the dark magic that whispers in the night can be yours. You can summon lightning to strike foes or batter their bodies with flame and wind, but a Black Mage's role is not only harsh, brutal spells. With all the gifts at our disposal, we can weaken an enemy down to a pathetic shell with poisons and even steal their HP and take it for our own. We may not be strongest in body, but our intelligence has enabled us to master the very forces of nature and darkness itself, and that makes us deadly. I'm not gonna lie. If I wasn't already super attracted to black magic in most games, but especially Final Fantasy XI, that would have sold me. I am on board. And now we're going to go through for the next 10 minutes, one at a time, every spell. Stone. Poison. Blind. Water. Playing as a Black Mage. Black Mages can do extraordinary amounts of damage. As a soloist, you must be brave and resourceful, carefully choosing the most powerful spells. A group setting provides far more freedom and safety. However, if a monster focuses on a Black Mage, it can be lights out. All accurate, not really shocking. It's not hard to figure out what's going on with Black Mages. From the start, keep in mind that a Black Mage is a fragile, beautiful snowflake. There are things out there with deadly claws, sharp teeth, and nasty attitudes, and the Black Mage is vulnerable to a powerful attack. There is no shame in running from enemies or calling for help. I think whoever wrote this really loves casters. This is incredible so far. Upon first entering an area, locate the entrance and exit, as you may need to leave very quickly. Whenever possible, let someone else go first and keep him or her in sight. There's always strength in numbers. As you go through the area, note which monsters you encounter. Many have weaknesses to specific elements, and knowing those weaknesses is important. That actually is very true, although I love that the main point made so far is make a friend. Make a friend, you desperate little weak Black Mage. It's also a good idea to realize which monsters are aggressive, because you don't want to be surprised by a sudden monster attack. That's actually great advice. Finally, know some of the formations and landmarks of the area. Use them to protect yourselves from attacks. Not sure what they mean by that. Like standing up on a ledge or something? What is... I guess. Force them to run around something. Being a Black Mage requires concentration, timing, and attention to detail. After mastering these aspects, Black Mages can be very fun, versatile, and interesting job to play. Plus, they're a welcome addition to any high-level party. I mean, Black Mages to this day are still incredibly powerful, although at 119 they've got a number of problems that make them weaker as far as the casting options go, but they're still incredibly strong. How to solo. Soloing is a dangerous hobby for a Black Mage, but it's not an impossible proposition. It just takes more preparation. Unlike fighters, a Black Mage can't walk up to hit a monster. It's important to plan out what targets to attack, what spells to use, and where to cast them from. Still, at higher levels, it is probably better to join a party. I mean, I don't think Brady Games knew about soloing Beastman pets, but Black Mages are one of the more capable soloers in the game if you're looking to true XP. But you have to finagle it. You got to find some opportunities here. Black Mage race choices. Intelligence, magic points, and a good disposition for dealing damage lie at the core of a happy Black Mage. Any of the races can enjoy the thrill of elemental magic. It's only a matter of how much casting a person wants to do. All the casting? Who's going to be like, just a little casting. Just a little bit. Galka have lower magic points. Moving on. Now let's finish. So they won't be able to cast as many spells during the sessions of battle. With many more hit points and a much higher vitality than most choices, the Galka can cast with a bit more courage. However, since a stray hit won't instantly level the unwary caster of this group. I can't wait to see how they keep going with this. Elvon 2 can take hits better than many counterparts. People who are looking toward the Dark Knight Advanced job will practice many of their future spells while leveling as a Black Mage. This is a key way to practice different techniques while preparing for the glory ahead. Did anyone do that? Did anyone start as like a Black Mage and then realize like, this is a lot of fun, but I want to be doing more melee damage, and then became a Dark Knight? I would love to know. I always kind of pictured like starting as a warrior and then you realize you want a bit of that magic, but it could have been the opposite side. You could have started as a Black Mage and been like, I need more melee in my life. Mithra have more magic points and can cast longer than the heavier races. With high agility as well, they are also blessed with the chance to dodge some attacks. Very useful when your character doesn't get to wear anything close to heavy armor. While that's true, like conceptually, the difference in agility wasn't going to make a Mithra suddenly like evade like a thief every attack coming their way. But I mean, you know, when it comes down to those critical moments where you happen to evade, yeah, I'm not going to discount it. Human Black Mages certainly have the look down, being quite intimidating in appearance. With a fair supply of magic and decent intelligence, they offer a viable choice to any willing to attempt this combination. As usual, Hume are totally fine. Pretty solid options for whatever you're doing. Taru are wonderfully clever and their intelligence... Let's start over. Taru are wonderfully clever, and their intelligence allows them to become some of the deadliest Black Mages in the world of Vana'diel. With their lasting magic points and ability to pick up elemental magic so comfortably, the Taru are quite at home with a set of robes and a good hat. I also love Taru thematically. Like, they were the first mages in the world of Vana'diel. Like, they discovered this first. Eventually, it came to everybody, but I feel like it's right, you know? Looking for a target. The first thing you should consider when selecting a target is whether or not it deals damage through physical or magical means. Even though the physical base attacks may hit harder, monsters who use magic often have high magical resistances. That's actually an interesting little finding there. It may be nice to have a good back and forth spell session on occasion, but it's far better to kill a monster as quickly as possible, and physical monsters are more likely to be weak to magic. It's key to also note the types of status ailments a monster may throw out. Black Mages have a good resistance to most spells, but you don't want to fight monsters that may throw silence. Also be wary of monsters that attack with poison and rasp. Black Mages can be eaten alive by poison at lower levels due to their sparse hit points. This is actually all great advice. This guy has Black Mage down, although I like how they called out rasp specifically. They're like, watch out for rasp. There are like 6 other versions of that spell. Choke, shock, like, are they not as deadly as rasp, the lower of vitality? I don't know, I just think it's funny they called it out specifically. I'm pretty sure it's the first one they encountered, and they're like, oh gosh, a DOT, the deadly rasp. What spells to cast? After selecting a likely target, note any elemental weaknesses that it may have. If you can tailor spells to things that it is weak to, then it will cause more damage at a faster pace using fewer magic points. Soloing is all about efficient, conservative experience gain, and knowing a monster's weakness greatly helps. That's all true. I used to be so good with the elemental weaknesses of basically everything. Now I only remember the big ones. Like, there are certain enemies I'm pretty sure you're weak to, like, you know, wind, ice, fire, thunder. But there's some enemies I come up to, I'm like, I used to know exactly what you were weak to, and I have no idea now. And I just kind of wing it. When casting spells, cast the slowest, most powerful spell in your repertoire first, or blind. Or bind. Actually, I was gonna say, I mean, that is legitimate, just like good tactical advice. Cast the long casting spell before the thing attacks you so you can finish it, and then faster ones after that, if you can do that. But I love how bind is an option for the first spell. I don't think I'd shoot it out first, because doesn't damage normally break bind? So you're kind of just like, you stay in place, and then I'm gonna cast something. I don't know. Both of these techniques are designed to keep the monster at bay so that its attacks have no chance of interrupting the spellcasting. There's very little to fall back on in the melee department, so use your big spells early. After doing so, target the monster with a weapon and try to cast between the monster's attacks. Doing so should minimize its chances of interrupting your character's spellcasting. Each spell has an internal time, and you can't cast the same spell immediately after finishing it. This is just literally describing like how to play Black Mage, which is actually great. Using the bind spell defensively. Whether you're soloing or in a party, there is a possibility that you may get jumped or surprised by an aggressive monster. If this occurs, one choice is to immediately cast bind on it. This spell can create the time needed to put some distance between your character and your aggressor. It is always easier to handle a fight you know is coming, that one in which you get ambushed. This is hysterical. This is like actually like how to survive in Vanadil as a Black Mage. Some poor guy had the usual Black Mage starting experience and died a lot, and he's like, this is what I've learned. Let me pass this on to the rest of you. Using terrain to your advantage. To travel around the various regions, you must navigate around obstacles such as hills, crevices, and other land formations. The same holds true for monsters. While traveling, keep an eye out for areas you can use to ambush monsters. Likely areas for ambush points include any type of rock formation which the monster must climb or maneuver around to reach your character, and the longer you can keep a monster at bay, the more spells you can cast on it. Continues to offer up good advice. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop here. Where is the bad advice? The techniques that your character acquires while soloing are important because they give you a good idea as to what your character is capable of as a Black Mage. It is also important to know your options if you are directly attacked in melee by a monster. Finally, knowing the land around you will improve your chance of safe travel. All true. Being in a party. As a Black Mage, you will find that it isn't too difficult to find a party. Most people are fully cognizant of what a Black Mage can do to monsters. In return, the group must protect the Black Mage and shield him or her from monster aggression. That is the nature of the deal. Positioning within the group. While your group is on the move, keep your character in the middle of the party, preferably behind a warrior with provoke. I mean, I wouldn't stand behind the warrior. Conal attacks. Anyway, this prevents you from stumbling into an aggressive encounter. Always make sure to tell. Are they talking about positioning while like traveling? This is hilarious. Wait. This prevents you from stumbling into an aggressive encounter. Always make sure to tell the group if you need to rest. While resting, make sure you have a good view of everything around you. That way, you have a good chance of noticing if an aggressive monster appears. A Black Mage's place in the party during a fight is in the back. There we go. During a fight, try to position your character so you have a good view of the battle and adequate space between you and the target. Many monsters have an area of effect abilities like Goblin Bombs, or can cast spells that hit multiple members of the party at once. If at all possible, avoid taking damage from these kind of attacks while still remaining in range to cast spells. The advice just keeps piling on. You could actually come out of this and be an effective Black Mage if you really could put all of these tips to good use immediately. Unlike fighters, Black Mages are free to move around the area. This means that you can keep an eye out for aggressive monsters that join the fight or those that are close enough to link. Any party will appreciate the extra information, and the more controlled battle is, the more likely that everyone in the party will walk away from it. It's interesting that they mentioned that, but not like sleep. They talked about bind. Is sleep in the list of spells? I'd be pretty shocked if like it wasn't in the game at this point. It had to be. What level sleep? There it is, level 20, sleep. And I'm assuming sleep 2 is down at 41, yeah. So sleep is still super. Anyways, not sure why they forgot about sleep, but it's incredibly valuable, guys, if you're actually looking for information for this. Dealing the damage. Using a monster's weakness against it makes it far more. Dealing damage. Using a monster's weaknesses against it makes for far more efficient casting, as you inflict more damage and use fewer magic points. Still goes true. This goes a long way in having a successful party. People want to blow through monsters as quickly as possible, and they can't do that if the fights are long. One interesting thing that they don't really talk about is that this isn't as big of a deal. It's still always efficient to like do things this way, but it's not as important when you're soloing and the level of your elemental magic versus like their elemental magic defense is stronger in favor of you. When you're fighting incredibly tough or very tough mobs, or especially things that are even above that, that's where like those weaknesses are critical, because like a lot will be resisted. Now, the weaknesses are always valuable. Always go for the weakness, every time. There's no downside. Each time a spell is cast on a monster, it remembers who hit it. Because a Black Mage does more damage per spell than a fighter does per hit, you can build up a sizable amount of aggro towards your character. It's true, I always love that system, where like big heavy hits can be far more hate grabbing than like slow build up of hate. Once the monster realizes the potential threat, it focuses on the magic threat more than the melee fighter. Black Mages in general don't make good pullers for the party, and it's very dangerous for them to start the fights. In fact, a Black Mage should be one of the last people to engage the target. During a fight, you want the monster to concentrate on the melee fighters first. Let them get in 1 or 2 good hits to build up aggro toward them, then feel free to start casting. If you start casting too soon, the monster will head toward the Black Mage instead of the fighters, which is not the ideal situation. All true. You can use a Black Mage's ability to draw aggro as an aggressive strategy against monsters. If a particular party member is in dire straits, start chain casting powerful spells and purposely get the monster to attack you. Although dangerous for your character, it's occasionally the only way to save someone's life. If there are other Black Mages in the party, lure the monster to your character while the other person casts on it, thus bouncing the monster back and forth between 2 Black Mages during the fight. Using this technique, you construct parties consistently solely of casters. Oh my god, wait, did you just talk about Black Mage burn real quick? They kind of threw out the idea. You can construct parties consisting solely of casters. That's a burn. That's a Black Mage burn. Interesting. I don't know if they really knew what they were saying, but like, they're not wrong. Where is the title? Your 2-hour ability. The Black Mage's 2-hour ability is called Monofont, and it enables the Black Mage to cast spells without using magic points for a duration of 30 seconds. Use this ability carefully and only under specific situations, because you will receive major aggro once you start chain casting. When soloing, use Monofont when trouble arises, and you need to bring down the monster quickly. When in a party, use Monofont when the entire group is in trouble and another character, like a monk or a paladin, very specific, as his or her 2-hour ability. Let them go first to get the monster's aggression, then start Monofont and cast away. I love to think that this guy like had this specific situation, like things were going bad, and his monk friend 2-hour, and he's like, now I can go. I will use my 2-hour now. Equipping items. Buy items in this manner: spells, weapons, then armor. You may think that because Black Mages are so physically weak that armor would be the top priority. It's nice to have armor, and you should strive to not fall too far behind, but good armor pales in comparison to the ability to actually kill an enemy before it does the same to your character. The upshot is that you will most probably have limited funds and spells your lifeblood. Yeah, it is one of the downsides of like Black Mage, White Mage, and to an extent Red Mage. Spells are very expensive, and early on, especially when you have like nothing, you're just burning through all the gil that you earn. Luckily, there isn't a ton of gear early on that's like critical to have. If you have that Black Mage coat at level 10 that does 1 hit, it's like, yeah, you're good. You tried your best, buddy. After purchasing spells, take a look at available weapons. Black Mages have a choice between clubs, wands, rods, staves, and poles. Get a weapon that adds to your character's attributes in some way. Avoid clubs and poles. There are some nice wands and rods that add to int, a definite preference, or provide additional elemental bonuses. Staves often provide a modest increase to hit points and magic points. They can also add status effects or elemental damages. Go with a weapon that raises int first. After that, use your own discretion. Again, yeah, they didn't talk about like the elemental staves at 51, but this is a beginner's guide. Like, this is all great advice. Armor is last on the roster because when everything goes well, you hopefully won't get hit. When funds are available, purchase the best armor according to what gives your character the best boost. Seriously consider purchasing tunics or cloaks. These types of armor don't allow you to equip headgear, but they add nice boost to certain attributes. Yeah, I mean, I would have just worded that slightly differently and said like, keep up the int and MP bonuses with your gear, but otherwise don't worry about it, because like, they're right. If you're getting hit, something went wrong. And yes, it happens, but for the most part, everybody focuses on damage. How high can I make my damage go? Black Mage as a main job. If you really want to cause lots of damage, then Black Mage is a wonderful main job. Although light on hit points, a Black Mage's powerful spells make up for that deficiency. The ability to cast such powerful direct damage spells, combined with damage-based passive abilities and magic regeneration, enable Black Mages to be potent sorcerers. Because Black Mages are so powerful in the magic department, they gain the most benefit from support jobs that also have magical potential. Black Mage, White Mage. Having a white mage support job gives the black mage many benefits. You get extra boost to magic points, additional defense against magic, some more magic point regeneration, and the ability to heal. More magic point regeneration. Are they thinking the clear mind like doubles it up? I think they're a little wrong about that, but I'd be curious what they think, what that means. A very solid combination that is well sought after by many parties. The black mage white mage is a dedicated magical force. It's classic. Black Mage Summoner. This one's interesting. Black Mage Summoner also works to hone magical abilities. In this case, you still get a boost to magic points and some magic point regeneration. I mean, that really should be the key, is the auto refresh that you get at 50 with Summoner Sub, but the real boost is the ability to call a magical being to be your protector and cause some additional damage to the monster. These summons gain levels to become more powerful. They are also capable of healing your character. However, summoning costs a lot of magical points, so keep that in mind. That would have been fun if summons weren't so weak. Subbed. Being able to like cast out a free carbuncle as like a defensive entity would have been like a cool idea, and kind of harken back to in other games how like the black mages often can summon like a spirit or a protector of some kind. But yeah, I think they kind of missed the idea here on how Black Mage Summoner actually works. Black Mage as a support job. As a support job, a Black Mage heightens magical abilities and gives a good range of direct damage spells. However, because this is a job with such a focused purpose, it is not as versatile as others, and care should be taken when choosing it as a support job. It's funny because it's like, well, okay, we're gonna read this, and I was about to say something, but I'm kind of wrong. White Mage, Black Mage. In my opinion, the most common of the era combos there. Taking a Black Mage support's job gives White Mages the ability to cast elemental direct damage spells. White magic spells have a bit of overlap with those of Black Mages in terms of enfeebling magic, but the real gain is in terms of the additional magical defense, resistance, and regeneration. All in all, this is a highly recommended combination. Very true. Summoner Black Mage. As a Summoner Black Mage, you get all the benefits in terms of magical potential and the ability to attack a monster directly with magic. Oh, see, this is where they lost it. They don't really realize how the skill works yet. The basic idea is to summon, for example, Carbuncle, set it to attack the monster, then sit back and cast spells until the monster is history. The additional magic points are most appreciated, as summoners can cost a lot of MP. This has been awesome. I really wish that this is how it worked. I guess you can kind of do that with Summoner Black or Summoner Scholar now, but I feel like just spending more MP to focus on the summoner, because the problem is your spell cap is so low. Like, yeah, you can get a B level skill by using your, what's it called? Dark influence, whatever it is. But you still only have level 37 in this case spell cap of like your spells that are available to you. Red Mage Black Mage and Dark Mage Black Mage. I'm curious about why they combine these, because Red Mage Black Mage is one thing. There's a lot of benefit. You get, what, Asper and Drain? Although, did they have Dark Magic skill? I think they did. I think I did this last time, because they get Bio. Yes. Yes? Yes. Yes. Does Red Mage get Asper natively? I don't remember. Oh, it's the next page. I don't see it. I don't see it, but that doesn't mean they don't. Anyways, point being, Red Mage Black Mage, good option. Red Mage, White Mage, also good option. Dark Knight, Black Mage, not sure why it's paired with Red Mage. Anyways, both Red Mages and Dark Knights have some overlap in abilities with Black Mages, as they can both cast magic and be limited tanks. Guys, what an amazing little gem that they hit at the end of Black Mage. This has been going so well, and then they hide that Dark Knights can be limited tanks. This is before the era of Dread Spikes and all of the amazing tools that Dark Knights now have at their disposal. At this time, I consider Dark Knights to almost be the glass cannons of melee. Like, they literally are hurting themselves. they are very good at taking hate though, so I don't know. Let me know if you were ever using your Dark Knight as an off tank. It's easy to become one. Red Mages, I mean, yeah, they're durable, but I wouldn't call them a tank. Having a Black Mage support job focuses and strengthens the magical side, giving them additional spell damage and magic points at the cost of hit points. However, because Red Mages and Dark Knights are not dedicated bruisers, again, what is a dedicated bruiser if not a Dark Knight? This is not much of a detriment for them. Dedicated bruisers. Dark Knight. How are you guys playing Dark Knight? Guys, what'd you think? I thought Black Mage actually was pretty spot on. The only questionable things are the Summoner support job and Black Mage support job for Summoner, and then the weird way that they look at Dark Knight and Red Mage. I would love to know more about their insights on Dark Knight and Red Mage, but for the most part, I thought this one was pretty good. Let me know your thoughts. What job you want to see next? We don't have that many. We're getting through these jobs pretty quickly because there were a lot of jobs that were never in the Brady Game Strategy Guide. Like, this was long before Outer Gone. I wish they did a pup, though. That would have been fun. Anyways, guys, hope you have a good one. Keep on the lookout for more videos like this. Definitely subscribe if you're new. And join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Twitch streams. We do play a lot of Final Fantasy 11, but other games as well. But would love to see you there to talk more about this amazing novelization of instruction on how to live in Vanity. Otherwise, guys, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace. We will see and understand the edge.
Into the abyss.
What is happening?
It's flat
It's a flat earth. The flat earthers were right. The flat earthers were right.